Hello everyone, I'm Allison with Green Goddess Plants and Seeds, and welcome to today's garden chat. This morning when I got up, the temperature outside was a whopping minus 35 degrees Celsius, and it really hasn't warmed up much. It's still only minus 32, which I think is about minus 22 Fahrenheit. So regardless of what scale you're using, it's a cold day. It's a cold day in February. So today what I'm planning to do is start my pepper seeds. Now normally I wouldn't start them till March, but I've decided to change things up a bit and start them a little bit early. So welcome to my messy kitchen. This is where I do my planting up, my starting of seeds, because I don't have anywhere else to do it. So you don't have to have a special space. You know, your kitchen is perfectly fine. What I have in my backyard in this city is a small hobby greenhouse, and it's about 25 years old and is quite literally being held together with Gorilla Tape. But it was never designed or meant to be heated or heated efficiently, especially when you've got temperatures this cold. So I do all my seed starting in my house, in my living room. So from now until probably about the beginning of April, my living room is going to be, literally full of plants and seedlings. So when I start my seeds, now, a bit of a disclaimer first, and you'll probably hear me repeating this throughout all of my seed starting videos, is what I'm about to show you today is what works for me. Okay, this is what I've been doing for years. It works for me. I'm happy with it. It's good. Why mess with a good thing? If you were to ask 100 different gardeners the same question, you would get 100 different answers, because each of them is going to have their own method, their own technique, their own way of doing something. So just because this is the way I do it doesn't mean everybody does it this way. Everyone's going to do it differently, and that is perfectly okay. That's the way it should be. You need to develop your own technique, your own way of doing things that work for you. So what I've got here is my soil. This is just ordinary potting soil. It's nothing special. It's not a special seedling mix. Some people swear by the seedling mixes, but I've never felt it necessary to use such a thing. I've had just as good results with ordinary potting soil as anything else. So one of the things you definitely want to do is you want to wet your soil down. You want to make it nice and moist, because you don't want to be planting into wet or you don't want to be planting into dry soil. You want it to be a little bit moist. Now, when you're starting your seeds, seed starting, it's not hard, and it shouldn't be hard, and it's not scary. You just have to be organized and kind of have it in your head what you're going to do. Now, one of the things that I do is I use cinnamon in my soil. Now, cinnamon is a natural fungicide. So when you are starting your seeds, you have to take some type of precaution to prevent damping off. Regardless of what that precaution is, lots of people use different techniques. For me, what works for me is cinnamon. I've used this for quite a few years, and I've had excellent results. Now, some people have used cinnamon and they complain, oh, well, it didn't really work, or they had mixed results, or whatever. But it makes a difference in how you use it and how you apply it. Lots of people, they just sprinkle it on they'll plant up their seeds, and then they'll sprinkle the cinnamon on the surface of the soil. I found that did not work very well. What worked for me, however, was mixing the cinnamon right into my soil before I even started planting. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I will sprinkle very liberally all over the surface of the soil. I don't know, I've never measured how much I actually use. I just sprinkle it very, 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 very liberally. I don't know if you can see how much that is, and then I will mix it right in really well so that cinnamon is right into the soil. And then just because I'm a little bit paranoid about you losing my seedlings, I will do it again. I'll do it a second time with the cinnamon, very liberally. Just like that. let's see here. And the other thing that I will do is I will take my 2 largest teapots and I will put 2 to 3 cinnamon sticks in the bottom of them and then fill them with boiling water and let them sit overnight. So basically what that does is you're making a cinnamon tea, and I will use that water, that cinnamon tea water, to actually water my seedlings. And that has also worked for me. So I do both of those things. Whoops. Yes, I'm making a mess. Life's messy, right? I'm spilling the soil everywhere. Okay, so that looks good. So lots of gardens will use recycled containers for starting their seeds, which is wonderful. I think that's a great idea, and lots of gardeners still do that. They'll use, margarine containers and yogurt cups and, the plastic clamshells that you get, sometimes strawberries in. Those are wonderful. I encourage you to use them. It's a free source of containers. Some people use solo cups, and that's great. I do choose to use the plastic cell packs and stuff, mainly because it is a more efficient use of my space. I have to start, everything goes into my living room. There's not a lot of space in my living room, and because these are designed to fit together into these trays, it's a more efficient use of my space, and so that's why I choose to use these. But you don't have to use these. Feel free to use all the recycled containers you want. In fact, I encourage you to do that if you can. So these are my containers, my cell packs, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill my containers just like that. I don't know if you can see that. Sorry, my camera's not quite right, and then what I'll do is I'll tamp it. I'll take one of the empty ones, and I'll use that to tamp it down a little bit so it kind of fits perfectly into the first one, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pepper seeds. Now you'll probably find gardeners who will probably disagree with me on this, but again, I do things the way I do because I need this. I don't have a lot of room to start stuff. So I've got, what I'm starting here these are the Fat and Sassy bell peppers. Okay, so I've got 10 seeds. There's only 10 seeds in that package, which is kind of disappointing, but that's okay. So what I am going to do is I am going to put 5 seeds in 2 cells. Okay, so I've got 5 seeds in here and 5 seeds in here. And there's going to be lots of people who probably agree with me for doing this, but what will happen is these will get when they get big enough, I will separate them and transplant them into individual pots. Now, some people say, oh, you shouldn't do that. It disturbs the roots too much. But as long as you're careful and very gentle with them, it's okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is, if I can show you here, is I'm just going to cover the seeds with some soil like that and like that. Tap it down a little bit. Make sure you have labels. Labels and tags are very, very important, so you know exactly what you've got planted. Stick it in there like that and like that, so I know that these 2 cells are this particular variety. And then I can probably plant however many other varieties. If I want to do another variety in these 2 and another variety in these 2, I've got 3 varieties in one small space already started. So, and that's how I will do pretty much all of my seeds. I'll use this for peppers. I'll do this method for tomatoes. Sometimes my herbs, my petunias. I love storing petunias. And I don't know if you may or not be aware, but petunia seed, unless it's pelleted, it is very tiny. Petunia seed is like dust. It is very small. So it's easier just to broadcast a few in each cell than to try and plant individually. But that's what I do to start my seeds. It's not hard. It's not scary. You just have to be organized. Have everything lined up. Have your space ready for where you're going to put your trays or your pots or whatever. And And away you go. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's not hard. And then what I'll do, once I get all of my peppers seeds in the soil, in the tray, I will water. I'll take my sprayer nozzle from my sink, and I will spray and water them all down so that they're all nice and wet. And then they'll go in the living room. So that's a crash course on starting seeds. I've been starting my own vegetable seeds for quite a few years. It's something that I've always enjoyed doing, and you don't have to, as a gardener, you don't have to start your own seeds. It's not a requirement. But if you are looking for something a little more challenging, you know, you can always try starting your own seeds. And my experience is that most common garden vegetables, like peppers might be a little more tricky, but things like tomatoes are very easy to start from seeds. Like, they will pop up in no time. The thing with the peppers, and why I'm starting them a little earlier, is because they do seem to take a long time. They take a long time to germinate and to, you know, get themselves all, you know, big enough to transplant and ready for the garden. So that's why I'm actually starting them a little bit earlier. So yeah, that's my crash course on starting seeds. Like I said at the beginning, this is how I do things. This is what works for me. Take from this what might work for you and discard the rest. And if nothing of this works for you, discard it all, and that's okay. Like I said, you know, every gardener's got their own method, their own technique, and their own way of doing things. And I'm sure there's hundreds of videos on YouTube that'll show you how to start seeds, and they'll all be different. Okay, they'll all be different. They'll have a different technique, and they'll all try and tell you, oh, you must do it this way, or you have to do it that way. No. Take what works for your own specific situation, and discard the rest. Okay, and but still be open to learning, right? Because I'm always learning new things and new techniques, and that's part of being a gardener. Is it's a continuing learning process. So thank you for joining me for this seed starting video, and I'll probably be doing another one. I'm going to be starting some onions. Onions are something I've never started from seed before, so that's going to be a new adventure for me. And I'll probably do a part 2 to this, and I'll just show you my setup in the living room of how I've got my tray set up. So have a great day.